I have only had about 4 hours sleep. But Star Wars, let's do this. Will people who dislike The Force Awakens enjoy The Last Jedi? That was one of the many questions I had in my head when I was coming out of the theatre at 3 in the morning. And to be honest, the answer is both yes and no. On one hand, people will hate this film for the sake of hating it. It's Disney, they've scrapped the expanded universe or taken the franchise in a completely different direction. But if you disliked The Force Awakens for the fact that it played it a bit too safe, it copied A New Hope a little too much, then you don't really have a leg to stand on for this film, because The Last Jedi is nothing like The Empire Strikes Back. It's not just Episode 5 with a new lick of paint on it or anything like that. This is perhaps the most ambitious and unique Star Wars film there is to date. In fact, I watched Episode 7 only last night, and going from Episode 7 to Episode 8, it's kind of jarring in a way. It feels completely different. It's not just because it's a new director. I mean, Rian Johnson has continued the universe that J.J. Abrams reintroduced us to. It still feels rugged, it still feels rough around the edges. It's not some sort of clean CGI like the prequels. The character still makes sense, and it's still Star Wars. But they've taken it in a completely different direction that I'm sure not many people would have expected. And because of that, I think this film will be quite polarizing. You'll have people that love it for that, people that dislike it for that. For example, this is the one Star Wars movie that uses humour throughout and pretty much continuous. Now, of course, Star Wars and humour, they basically go hand in hand. But not one Star Wars film before this has it been humour, serious scene, humour. It can sometimes feel a bit jarring when you've got a serious scene and then humour, straight after it. I don't think they mix it too well, and sometimes it can feel like a parody. Star Wars should not feel like a parody of itself, but when you're just exposed to all this humour, you're thinking, is this like some sort of Family Guy special I'm watching? Sure, I like to laugh, obviously. Who doesn't like to laugh? But, you can't just have humour and then a serious scene right next to it. And in the Star Wars universe, you can't just have an overload of humour. Honestly, it just comes at you. It's like this barrage. And while, most of the audience are laughing every time, there's a lot of the audience that it doesn't work. And as I said, it ruins the seriousness of some scenes. But don't get me wrong, the action is incredible. This film is actually bookended by action, which kind of takes away from the middle segment. Canto Bight, for example, while visually stunning and a great location to go to. It's incredible to see a sort of casino, a Las Vegas, if you like, of the Star Wars universe. We've never seen that before, and all the different aliens introduced and stuff like that. It's incredible. And while it's fun, for example, BB-8 he's the star of this segment. He's actually hilarious throughout. They basically take everything great about BB-8 and just ramp it up to 10. As the same with Poe Dameron, he has a lot more screen time this time around, and he doesn't just disappear for half of the film, for example. But you could possibly take the Canto Bight segment and just chuck out the window, and there wouldn't be, they could have just had someone explain what happened in that segment in a sentence later on, and you'd be like, alright, fine. I get it. It kind of feels like filler. It's like, okay, we've got the start, we've got the end, we need to connect it somehow. And because of that, the film can feel a little bit long as well. You're like, okay, is this the end now? Oh wait, we've still got this segment to go. Okay. It could have maybe been chopped down a little bit. But as I said, the visuals are absolutely stunning. There is one scene in particular where the audience I was with were just open mouthed. They're like, holy, I can't give too much away, obviously, for spoilers and all that. I can't wait to actually talk about this scene when I do my spoiler review. But the whole crowd were just like, that is perhaps the coolest thing I have ever seen in Star Wars. Wow. So, you know, to keep it sort of short and sweet, I'll go over the characters and then what I think about it at the end. The characters, they make sense in the context of this new trilogy. And, for example, Luke Skywalker, as Mark Hamill has said himself, he is not what you would expect in this movie. You know, he's not quite the Luke Skywalker. If you watch the original trilogy and then jump to this film for whatever reason, he's not the character you would expect him to be, but it makes sense. You understand his motivations, they make it clear to you, and you're like, okay, I can side with him. I know exactly why he feels this way, why he thinks this, why he, you know, as the trailer says, why he quote-unquote wants the Jedi to end and whatnot. But, you know, some characters don't work as well. I mean, Snoke is disappointing in this film, unfortunately. Captain Phasma is perhaps even worse. Captain Phasma, oh boy. You know, in The Force Awakens, they heard our criticisms. They're like, okay, people want more Captain Phasma. Minute 25 or whatever, that's not enough. Let's give her 2 minutes. Literally, they only give her maybe 10 minutes. Maybe I think that's a bit too generous. Maybe 5 minutes at most. Captain Phasma is used kind of sparingly again in this, and I think you'll be disappointed. So there's a couple characters people will be walking out the cinema like, okay, that I hate that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I walked out of the theatre sort of underwhelmed in the end. General Hux, he's just a guy that shouts. He's actually used as the butt of a lot of jokes. So, you know, make of that what you will. People like that. People maybe think, okay, maybe they could have made him, you know, a bit more badass. Someone that is more badass, actually, is Kylo Ren. If you thought in The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren, which is actually how he was supposed to be portrayed, as this sort of young guy that was kind of weak and he was trying to be like his grandfather but failing epically, he is not this at all. He is pretty badass, and I think a lot of people will come around to his character this time around and be like, yeah, Kylo Ren, he's the real deal. Rey is overpowered again. She, you know, like, she has a bit of training and then she can now do all this mental stuff. Don't know what's happening there, but I can just see the Mary Sue comments just flying at me again. I'm not looking forward to that at all. Leia plays a fundamental part in this, and what more can I say? She has an incredible performance, and if this is her last performance, then hats off to her. You know, it's a great movie to be in, you know, for her. She did great in this. So overall, I did enjoy the movie. I know I've said some negative stuff, but I did think this movie was a fun time. As I said, it has great action, the character development makes sense, and there's awe-inspiring scenes, and it's funny, maybe a little too much at times, but it is still, you know, you'll still be laughing out loud quite a lot. I just was kind of disappointed, as I said. I was slightly underwhelmed by it. There are massive talking points that as I will talk about my actual spoiler-filled review, I'll be able to go into so much more detail and give a sort of better opinion of it. So, you know, stay tuned for that. Keep an eye out. That will be posted tomorrow. So without giving too much away, there are major things that happen in this that, you know, you might be disappointed by. You might be like, did that just happen? Okay. But, you know, the good outweighs the bad. However, the bad, there's still a lot to the bad that you can't ignore. And for that reason, if I was to give it a score right now, I would give it somewhere between a 7 and an 8. I think IGN giving it a 9.7. I don't know what they were smoking at the time, seriously. I seen that score and I was like, really? 9.7? Are you sure? So that was a bit bizarre, but yeah, with having only seen the film once, I think I might have to see it again to see if the good parts of it are elevated more seeing it again, or whether the bad parts are sort of highlighted more. I think, you know, it might be better to see it again, to see it twice, to give an honest opinion. But if I had to say, it'd be somewhere between a 7 and an 8. So don't get twisted, it's still an awesome film and I'm sure you guys will enjoy it, but a lot of you will be walking out the theatre with mixed emotions, mixed feelings. But I guess, you know, at least you won't be talking about how the plot's recycled or anything like that. You'll be talking about how different it is, how unique it is, and for that reason, it's a success. So hats off to them for the ambition, for the scope of it. You know, you can really appreciate how they're trying new things, they're taking risks and all that. So, you know, I guess it'll just be fascinating to see how this all ends with episode 9, which, you know, isn't that far away actually, only 2 years. So, yeah, let's look forward to that. So, yeah, I hope you guys, you know, do enjoy this film when you go and see it. But if you've already seen it, do, you know, go crazy in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of it, and we'll have a discussion. As a result, there will be plenty of spoilers, I'm sure, in the comment section, so maybe avoid that if you haven't seen the film yet. So yeah, until tomorrow when I'll be able to go into more of the spoilers and stuff like that, I will see you later. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.